Hello, America. This is me again, DavidR from truthfortruthsake.com, and I wanted to pick up where I left off the other day when I was talking about the Alinsky rules for radicals. If you haven't read this book, I suggest you pick it up and go through it. And I know I'm not the only person that has suggested this. However, as I talked about in my last video, this is what I was educated on in the social work program that I attended, and this is what kids are learning in schools today. And I'm going to pick up where I left off, but first I want to remind you where I started off. I started off talking about the quote from Fyodor Dostoevsky, where he talks about the need to get people to lose hope in the current system so that they will accept a new one in its place. And then I moved on and discussed some of the rules, the tactics that are employed by the left at the end of the book. And I'm scrolling back through there right now. There's one I want to reread to you in the tactics section. And it's the one about using your opponent's rules in your opponent's own system against them. And it's make the enemy live up to their own book of rules. You can kill them with this, for they can no more obey their own rules than the Christian church can live up to Christianity. And essentially, in my opinion, they've socially engineered our entire society to be carrying out this one tactic. It seems like they use the media, the schools, the institutions, everything the left can control to give the image that America is not only a racist nation, but a hypocritical nation that's unable to live up to its own ideals. We have failed to live up to the ideals of freedom and liberty and justice for all is the narrative that they take. I want to go over, I may be preaching to the choir here. A lot of you may be aware of this stuff, but there's a need to get this information out to the majority of us, because the majority of people in this country aren't aware of this stuff. But I want to go over some of these communist goals from the 45 declared goals of the Communist Party, which were actually entered into the congressional record in 1963. So Congress knows about these communist goals. And if Congress knows about them because they were entered into the congressional record, and Congress isn't warning people about them, well, what does that tell you? With that in mind, I'll start with this one right here, number 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. Well, we know they've captured the Democrat Party. And what about the Republicans that don't stand up against them? Yeah. Okay. I want to go back up to goal number 11. It's pretty pertinent when you consider the three major crises that we're facing right now: the Ebola crisis, the racial riots in Ferguson, and ISIS. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one-world government with its own independent armed forces. Okay, so when you take that and you consider what Fyodor Dostoevsky said about making people lose hope, well, what we've got going on here is a situation where they're trying to make you lose faith in your country, in your government, so you will look to another entity to offer a solution. Many people know this as the Hegelian dialectic, Marxist principle. Friedrich Hegel was a mentor of Marx, so to say. It's the problem reaction solution formula. So we've got the world elite causing these problems, so they make us lose hope, so they beg for the solution, and it's all written right here. Look it up yourself. Okay? Again, I'm going to read it to you. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one world government with its own independent armed forces. Okay? Obama doesn't want to solve the problem, folks. He wants to give the illusion that he's incompetent. He wants to give the illusion. That's why he golfs all the time. He wants you to lose faith in him. He wants you to lose faith in the country. He wants you to demand a solution to all of these problems. Okay. I'm going to go on and read a couple more of these. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. How many times have you seen that? Do you remember Occupy Wall Street? Use student riots to foment public protest against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. Infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, and policy making positions. You go into a college today and you get a degree in policy. Well, okay, you know who's running it now. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. And an American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings, substitute it with shapeless, awkward, and meaningless forms. If they can destroy the art and what meaning art has by making it just meaningless, then we become a meaningless culture, because our culture is expressed through our art. Okay? To elaborate on that, they go on. Control art critics and directors of art museums. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. Here's a big one for the day. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Well, if you've been paying attention to what's being taught in our elementary schools these days, you know they've got a big jump on that one. You have organizations such as Gleason and NAMBLA infiltrating our schools, using the issue of bullying to push the homosexual agenda. And if you think I'm wrong, then ask yourself, why do we have schools now that are pushing the idea of gender neutrality, not referring to boys and girls as boys and girls? Why do we have states that are making it legal now for people that feel like they may be a woman to use the woman's restroom? For a man who may feel like he's a woman to use the woman's restroom. This is crazy. Sorry about that. I dropped my camera. Discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, and out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. How many times have we heard Barack Obama call our Constitution a hindrance? How many times has he said that it's standing in the way? How many times has he said that it's a flawed document? Discredit the American founding fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. Well, we have schools in the United States now that are teaching children that the founding fathers weren't enlightened men, but they were terrorists, they were radicals, they were extremists who went against the common good. Yeah. These are all things that we need to pay attention to, America, because all of this stuff that I've just read to you, for all these people that may call me a conspiracy theorist or what have you, these are things that have already happened in our country, okay? Our cultural morality is broken down. Our founding fathers are being discredited. Our Constitution is being torn apart, okay? They are trying to get us to view the UN as the solution to the problems that we face. These aren't what ifs anymore. They're happening. And like I said, I'm probably preaching to the choir with many people. However, we got to do something to get people to understand this. I think the more people read these things, look at these things, and compare them to what's going on in the world, they're gonna wake up. On that note, I'm gonna go ahead and close out, try to keep this a little shorter than the last video. But have a good night and see you next time.